Hello again, fellow BeachBum traders. Thank you for joining us for part 2 of our weekly trading game plan for the trading week of June 3rd through June 7th. We're in part 2 of our weekly trading game plan. We'll be selecting our top swing trading stocks to watch, stocks in our bullpen, stocks in our shopping list. We'll also talk about using dividend payers and various option strategies to also generate income in addition to trading our top swing trading stocks. So let's get started. So here's our Google document with our notes for part 2 of our weekly trading game plan for June 3rd through June 7th. We keep our notes for our weekly trading game plans in publicly accessible Google documents. You can find a direct link to this Google document in the description box below. Our notes documents contain links to bonus videos, the tools and resources we use to trade our top swing trading stocks to watch. If you haven't already seen part 1 of our weekly trading game plan for June 3rd through June 7th, titled Make Money Trading in June 2024, we'd highly recommend you also view part 1, as that contains our market analysis, trading strategies, trade ideas for making money trading in June of 2024 and for this week. We keep all of our notes documents in a publicly accessible Google Drive folder, so you can refer back to the notes for part 1 as well as our previous weekly trading game plan notes. And again, you can find a direct link to that Google Drive folder in the description box below. Welcome Walter Lyons, Alan Krantz, Ricky Khan. Thank you all for joining us in the chat today. Hope you all are doing well. So firstly, we'll quickly go over our trade updates for this week. So this week, as we've been discussing for some period of time, we finally went long on SIRI, Sirius XM. Again, we've been watching Sirius XM for some time with that arbitrage type opportunity between Liberty Media, their division, and Sirius XM merging, and Warren Buffett buying both ends of that arbitrage opportunity. And you can hear more details about our analysis of that opportunity via the link to our previous video in our notes. So we again went long on Sirius XM on the 28th at 276. And again, we'll wait for that merger and see if we can get some profit out of that, see if Sirius XM swings back up. And we'll look at the chart on that trade in just a second. So just a quick reminder, although I'd never recommend that anyone blindly follow us or anyone else into or out of trades, if it would help you make money trading, help you succeed in your trading career, to see when we enter or exit a trade, you can get real-time email notification of when we enter and exit a trade by joining our Patreon. Also, we have several channels in our Discord that our Patreon members have access to, and I'll show you those channels just quickly in our Patreon. So firstly, I have a channel of Thinkorswim or TOS alerts. I set up price alerts in Thinkorswim. When those get triggered, they get automatically posted to the Thinkorswim alerts channel. And if we follow that up with a trade, as you can see with the Sirius XM alert, then I will post that in the Thinkorswim alerts channel. If it's a trade not directly related to a Thinkorswim alert, like here when we went long on ZSL, the short on silver, then I will post that in the trade alerts channel. And then we also have automated systems that generate real-time alerts when stocks are moving up, breaking out, near our price targets, etc. And you can hear how all of that works via the link to this video in our notes and also on our BeachBum Trading channel. So again, a great way to see real-time movements in the stock market, sector rotations, when things are breaking out. So we see late on Friday when JEPQ were breaking out. We see when GDXY was moving up. So again, a great way to see movements in the stock market in real time, sector rotations, etc. So great for short-term traders, scalpers, etc., as well as identifying potential upcoming swing opportunities. So again, you can get access to all of those alerts channels by joining our Patreon. So if I go to Webull and we look at that chart for SIRI, we trade on Sirius XM. So you can see again, we've been watching this. I've been watching the level 2 to see when it would finally establish a tradable support. Looks like, and I was waiting for it to swing back up, break the VWAP, break that pivot point. So we could see on the 28th that finally it looked like 270-ish was a decent support level. And it finally did break the VWAP, or broke this pivot point. So we went long at this point. Notified our Patreon members. Hopefully a number of our Patreon members were able to get even a cheaper price. And then on Friday we see this strong break up in Sirius. Again, Sirius has like a 22% short float. I don't know if this was the start of a kind of short squeeze. It does have a very high float, so not an easy stock to squeeze. But again, we see that nice pop up, and hopefully Sirius will continue to swing up. It's got plenty upside, so it's not necessarily too late. You can see that bottoming around 270, swinging back up. That 270 level seemed to be a pretty stable bottom, but again, plenty of upside. Sirius does play a small dividend, but again, we're trading this more for the price appreciation, and specifically around that Warren Buffett arbitrage type trade. So I hope that all helps. Welcome, Sydney Osborne, LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us in the chat today. Hope you all are doing well. So next we'll go over our top swing trading stocks to watch list. I'll go over the updates in our notes, and then we'll look at the charts as well in Webull. So just very quickly, I've left EPV. EPV is the short on the FTSE Europe. We saw the Euro stocks market yesterday, and the futures looked like it rolled over. But this EPV hasn't really popped up too much. Again, we looked at EURL in our ETFs Google Sheet. This is the leveraged long on the FTSE Europe stock market. So we'll be looking for a top or resistance in EURL to determine an entry point in EPV. Also, we can watch it in our watch list Google Sheet. You can hear more about best ETFs to trade Europe via the link to that video in our notes. Briefly discussed yesterday as well. We looked at FANG-U, looked like it hit a double top, got rejected. So I added FANG-D to our watch list, put it in the game from our bullpen on the 17th. Again, we'll be using FANG-U, top in FANG-U, and a rejection of that top rollover to determine an entry point short in the FANG stocks. Again, one of the reasons I like FANG-D is it has a less weighting to NVIDIA. I'm not real hip on jumping in front of NVIDIA, but we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. I've also got SOXS in our watch list as well. Also, if you'd prefer BERZ, we've done a comparison video on BERZ, another way to short the FANG stocks. So you can look at the risk-reward profile of BERZ compared to FANG-D, both in our ETFs Google Sheet and also the discussion in this bonus video in our notes. I've left GDXD and ZSL in our watch list. Again, we're short gold with GDXD already, and we're also short silver via ZSL, but they haven't necessarily run away yet. I expect, more volatility, some corrections like we saw in the futures in silver and gold. So we might get some upside corrections, might get a good entry point for short-term traders in GDXD and ZSL. Again, if you're a short-term trader, day trader, scalper, you can trade these long with GDXU, silver with AGQ. And again, there are other short ETFs if you'd prefer for gold. So I've left those in there for now. If we get a further downside on gold and silver, then I'll take those out of our watch list. So also you can get updates to our watch list and access to our watch list Google Sheet, which we'll look at in a second, by joining our Patreon. And you can hear how you can use our Google Sheet, watch list Google Sheet, to watch our top swing trading stocks to watch via the links to the bonus videos in our notes. So if we just quickly look at our watch list Google Sheet, again, our Google Sheet contains our price targets, support and resistance levels, risk-reward profile, the current prices via Google Finance functions. Again, these have a slight delay, about 20 minutes, but sufficient for our style of swing trading. Again, you can see the risk-reward profiles, access to their profile links in FinViz, dividend information, optionality information, etc. So again, this is what we use real time during the trading days to see how close stocks are to our price target. So we can see, even though the European stocks market kind of rolled over, EPV is not too far away from our price target, so the risk reward is still attractive there. Similarly for GDXD and ZSL. So, and again, we've got the long inverses in our watch list in Webull, so we'll look at that real quick. So here's our top swing trading stocks to watch in Webull. Again, I've got the long versions to determine entry points. So we talked about ZSL. The long version of ZSL is AGQ. So again, we'd be watching for a top in AGQ or rejection off a resistance level like that to determine our entry point into ZSL. So we see ZSL will bottom. Again, these are leveraged ETFs, so they will decay over time, which is why we use the leveraged longs to determine our entry points. Similarly for FANG U and FANG D, so we see actually the top in FANG U and a shorter time frame, I think is about 382 or so. We see that rejection. We do get a retest of that top. We might take a short using FANG D, so we see that bottom and swing up. Similarly for gold, GDXY, so we see that rejection off the top there. So bottom and turn in GDXD. And then again, we talked about EPV. So again, it's not too far from its bottom. Did pop up a little bit, retrace a little bit. So somewhere around that support level looks like a decent one in the EPV. I've been looking for a tracking symbol to use in Thinkorswim for the FTSE Europe and haven't found one yet. So if anyone knows of a good symbol we can use other than EURL, which I can also add here to track the FTSE Europe, that would be appreciated as well. So you can see I'll add EURL to our watch list as well, which is the long, so we can see where the top and the rejection off that or near that resistance bounced up, might reject off that pivot point there. So, okay, let me grab a drink and we'll talk about our bullpen stocks. Okay, just a quick reminder, if you're not already using Webull, you can see their latest promotions here. If you open and fund an account with 25K or more, you get 75 free fractional shares of stock. Less than 25K, you can get 20 free fractional shares of stock. They're also offering a 1.25 cash bonus for transfers of investments to Webull and a 3.5% match on contributions to your IRA. So a lot of potential bonuses for joining Webull. If you join with our affiliate link in the description box below, we greatly appreciate it. And you can get all of these bonuses as well as help support our BeachBum trading community, which again, we greatly appreciate. Welcome, Baloo Dog. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. So again, if you're new to our community, the concept of bullpen stocks are ones that don't necessarily meet my criteria for top swing trading stocks to watch right now, but I've identified that they may in the near future. So we put them in the bullpen, periodically revisit them. If their setup improves, then we'll put them in the game, move them up to our top swing trading stocks to watch list. If not, if they run away or break out or break down, we'll just take them out of the bullpen. So quickly, I'll go through some of my updates to the bullpen stocks, and we can also take a look at them in our Google Sheet, and we'll look at the charts in Webull as well. So firstly, I'm adding kind of an old favorite that we've traded before, CPSH Technologies Corporation. It's Electronics Components Company. You can hear our previous video on CPSH via the link to that video in our notes, or find it also on our channel. Again, we've watched CPSH in the past. It popped up in my queries as potentially having a decent swing trading setup in the near future. So we put it in the bullpen. Keep an eye on opportunities to enter CPSH. I'm going to take CRT, Cross Timbers Royalty Trust, out of the bullpen. It's already run up. It's an oil and gas trust. It's a dividend payer, so we can continue to watch CRT in our dividend payers Google Sheet, and you can hear more about CRT via the link to the bonus video in our notes. Also, I want to let me come back to Etsy. I'm going to add Etsy ETSY to our bullpen. Let me come back to that in a second. I want to look at we'll look at the charts when we get to the Google Sheet. I can easily jump over there from our Google Sheet. So we'll look at Etsy and why we're adding that to our bullpen, and I'll talk a little bit about why I potentially like Etsy. We're going to take MOS, Mosaic, out of our bullpen. It's already run up. Again, we have Mosaic MOS in our ETFs Google Sheet and our dividend payers, so we can continue to watch the risk-reward profile price action of Mosaic in our ETFs and dividend payers Google Sheet. We did have SIRI in our bullpen. Again, now in our Google Sheet, I can more easily watch our bullpen stocks as well. So we actually took that trade, even though it was just a bullpen stock, and we've been watching it for some period. And again, you can hear more about that via the links to our videos in the notes. Also mentioned SOXS. I'm putting SOXS in the bullpen. We kind of saw it topped out, got rejected. It's got some decent risk-reward profile when it runs up and rejects. Again, I'm a little more hesitant due to the NVIDIA effect, but again, if you're a short-term trader, scalper, etc., we see these strong, surges up and reversals in NVIDIA too, and I think there's some decent opportunities in SOXS, and the long is SOXL. So if we do see a top out in SOXL around 56.99, it has rejected pretty strongly off that level. So that might be a good opportunity for a short-term swing, short-term scalp. Just again, NVIDIA has strong momentum. The AI FOMO continues. Some of the semiconductor stocks, trend with NVIDIA when that AI FOMO hits. So that's going to drive SOXL up until it peaks out and rolls over. So again, we'll keep an eye on it and see if there's some opportunities there. But if it does reject off that top, that would be a decent opportunity. Welcome, Logan Flips, Gerald Fitz, Douglas PC. Thank you all for joining us today. Hope you all are doing well. Douglas mentioned LabU and LabD. Again, we looked at biotechs yesterday as well, and we do have those in our ETFs Google Sheet. Again, another pair you can trade. We saw, biotechs generally weaker. We also talked about ARK-K and SARK. So again, now we can watch our bullpen stocks in the bullpen sheet in our Google Sheet. And again, you can get access to our watch list Google sheet containing all of these, our watch list, top swing trading, stocks to watch list, bullpen, our shopping list, watch sectors. We also have all the screener links we talked about in our watch list Google sheet. You can get access to that by joining our Patreon. So here's our bullpen stocks. You see CPSH, see where our support and resistance levels are. Again, whether it's optional, any dividend information, etc. Wanted to look at Etsy and talk about Etsy a little bit. So again, you can quickly access their profiles via the hyperlink in the FinViz URL. So we see Etsy took a dive on earnings, but it was profitable. So they are profitable. So when I saw that pop up, it looks like, it's hovering around this pivot point right after the dip on earnings. So it's oscillating, retesting that pivot point, might swing back up. You look at a longer term kind of risk reward. So it looks like, that's a pretty long-term bottom. Go back farther. Again, previous bottom. So it looks like there's some level of support there in the 60 area. Again, they are profitable. It is optionable. Not a lot of discrepancy with the float. Not too high short, 13%. So not a whole lot of debt. One of them, hopefully you're familiar with Etsy. It's a marketplace for handmade products. So again, handmade, custom-made types of products. Not necessarily the types of things you see on Amazon, which is one of the reasons I like the concept of Etsy. We can see it, ran up high during the pandemic, and when people were, out of work at home, so started making and buying things on Etsy, and it's since significantly declined. But again, one of the thesis I kind of like about Etsy is now with the economy slowing a little bit, unemployment picking up a little bit, inflation very high. I think handmade, homemade products like Etsy, I think those people have more control over lowering their prices. Also, as people get unemployed, they might be looking to start their own businesses on Etsy. So I kind of like that thesis. Again, let me know what you think of that thesis about Etsy and what do you think of the stock. But again, we'll keep an eye, see if this support's going to hold. And if so, it's got, plenty of upside. So we'll see if it swings back up. Kind of like that again. Sidney Osborne says he doesn't like their platform. That's valuable feedback. Honestly, I've never actually used Etsy either to buy or sell anything. So again, any of your feedback is very helpful. So if we look at the charts for our bullpen stocks in Webull, so here's CPSH, the electronic components. You can see it's kind of bouncing between its pivot point and that support level in the 170 area. So we'll see if that's going to hold. If it starts to swing back up again, that looks attractive. It's got a decent amount of upside up into the low threes. Just looked at Etsy. So again, we see that bounce off that support right around 60. So we'll see if we can get an entry point in Etsy. Talked about SOXL and SOXS. So SOXL is the long, again on a near-term time frame. I think the top is like 56.99. We see how it rejected pretty strongly off those levels. So again, if we see a retest of those highs or rejection, might be an opportunity to short semiconductors. And again, scalp, short-term swing, make some money. So I hope that all helps. Okay, next, let me grab a quick drink and we'll talk about our shopping list stocks. I've got a couple updates to our shopping list stocks. And again, I want to spend some time talking about UiPath. Okay, again, if you're kind of new to our community, the concept of shopping list stocks are, ones you want to watch to buy on an irrational reaction in the market, be it a irrational reaction into earnings or correction in the market. Again, we just recommend, again, not financial advice. We're not financial advisors. All of our content's for education and entertainment purposes only. But again, I recommend staying away from zombie stocks, unprofitable stocks, high debt, etc. And again, we'll talk more about our criteria for picking stocks later if we have time. But a couple of quick additions to our shopping list. And again, now you can see our shopping list stocks in the shop list tab in our watch list Google Sheets. We'll quickly spin through those in a second. But I wanted to add a couple so I could keep an eye on them. And again, these are ones that we typically buy if we get the opportunity, if they come back down, and it's just easier to watch them from our shop list tab in our Google Sheet. So MSB is a steel trust company. We've traded that profitably in the past, and you can hear our discussion, our analysis of MSB, why we like it, via that link in the notes. But again, it tends to kind of jump up and down, be choppy. So I wanted to be able to catch opportunities in MSB, so I put that in our shopping list. Second one I want to spend a little bit of time talking about is Path, UiPath. And we'll look at that. I'll bring up the chart. Again, we can quickly access. So here's the risk reward profile for Path. You can see it's highlighted, showing attractive right now. So if I open the profile via the link in our Google Sheet, you can see it plummeted on earnings. I heard about this plummet when they announced earnings. Their earnings guidance missed expectations, although it was profitable. And I guess their CEO resigned, and the founder of the company is resuming the position of CEO. So obviously that type of news is often received pretty negatively. So we see that dramatic plummet. It's hard to tell if it's going to hold that 12 whatever level. We zoom out a little bit and see that strong plummet. It's got upside in the mid-20s. So even in the near term, looks like a potential double. This IPO'd back, looks like 21 or so. IPO was very high, kind of overly exuberant in the tech hype of the post-pandemic era, and then we see it plummeted. So if you're not familiar with Path, UiPath, they say to automate business processes. I would term this as a robotic process automation product tool. I'm very familiar with all types of software automation. I've been doing automation for over 20 years. I have not used UiPath, but I've used a number of its competitors like Blue Prism. There's others like Automation Anywhere, etc. Again, I've been using automation tools for over 20 years, so I kind of like the overall theme. One of the things I don't like about UiPath is in the past they were losing money, so they should be able to make money. Again, they had been losing money, which is the reason I hadn't considered them previously. It does look recently they have potentially, it looks like a turnaround. They might be starting to make some money. So again, this is why I put it in the shopping list. Again, I like the overall thesis of automation, and in my humble opinion, I think the next generation of AI, and I know they've tried to tout their tool as a AI tool, which in some ways it kind of is an AI adjacent tool. And again, I think the next level of AI is going to be integrating automation with the chat type AI tools. Right now, Chat GPT, etc. Those types of tools, all they can do is pretty much is answer questions, maybe write things, maybe generate images and videos, but the need to collect the data, etc., particularly for enterprises, utilize the data, take action on the data. It's like, if I want to actually book my vacation or schedule my doctor appointment or actually do something, we'll be utilizing tools like this. And again, I can talk in more detail about that thesis, but I won't spend further time now. But those are some of the reasons why I'm adding a UiPath to our shopping list. And again, we'll see if where it establishes, a decent support level and possibly swings back up. And then we'll look for an opportunity to take some UiPath again for kind of a longer term hold, longer term swing for a profitable turnaround. We can see their income still negative here on the main section of FinViz. So again, I want to see them start to turn a profit, but that reaction to their earnings was pretty dramatic. So again, if you have experience with UiPath, the stock, the company, etc., your views, love to hear it in the comments in our Discord, etc. So what do you all think about UiPath? Again, this is one, Kathy Woods has tended to buy in the past. I'm sorry to hear that. That Balu dog, again, it was overly hyped, and that's another reason, and they have not been profitable. So again, that's why one of the reasons I've never considered them in the past. But again, getting them cheaply, if it is a turnaround, if they're going to be profitable, they can get their act together. I think there's plenty of opportunities. There also aren't a whole lot of publicly traded competitors. Again, I mentioned Blue Prism and Automation Anywhere are not public. Microsoft bought a company a while back that does robotic process automation, and they were trying to integrate it into their Azure cloud. So I've looked at that. IBM has the Rational suite, including Rational Robot. But there aren't other independent. So they might be a potential buyout play by somebody like Amazon or maybe even a Google. So we'll see. Okay, so next we'll look at our dividend payers. I've got a couple additions to our dividend payers I want to quickly look at. So let me grab a drink. I'll open up our dividend payers Google Sheet, and we'll look at some of the additions. If anyone in the chat has a particular dividend payer you want to look at, throw those up in the chat, and we'll try to take a look at those as well. So again, in addition to our swing trading stocks, we also look for opportunities with dividend payers to generate income while we wait for our swing trading stocks to set up. And you can use our dividend payers Google Sheet to generate your own schedule of dividend payers, income producing dividend payers. And you can hear a whole series of videos on how to find the best dividend paying stocks, how you can use our dividend payers Google Sheet, and you can get access, 24/7 access to our dividend payers Google Sheet by joining our Patreon at the all access or VIP level. So a couple quick additions that I thought were interesting were a couple new yield max stocks that I found. One is called the Ultra Option Income Strategy ETF. And then another one is GDXY, Gold Miners Option Income Strategy. So this is comparable. We want to compare that to GLDI, which is the Credit Suisse ETN on gold. But I thought this was interesting, another way to get dividends on gold. So again, these are very new. So I put those in the ad sheet of our Dividend Payers Google Sheet. We'll flip over there, look for ULTY. So again, you can find a particular dividend payer, or you can search for all the yield maxes by just doing a Control F, put yield max. So here's ULTY, and then there's GDXY. So again, this is ultra income. Again, it's this pays a monthly dividend, 128, so pretty high dividend. See, it's got plenty of price appreciation. See the current risk reward profile. Doesn't have a whole lot of range yet. Again, these are pretty new. So if we look at the profile for ULTY and FinViz, so again, this showed up, I think, on the FinViz homepage as a double bottom, and that looked interesting. Again, relatively new, so we don't have a whole lot of history on it. It looks like it's been trending down, had a double bottom. It's got 26% dividend payment, performed negatively for the year. You can see the breakdown. 25% technology, 15 electronics. See what it holds. Sunrun, so it's got some solar, it's got some healthcare. So it looks like it's a pretty MicroStrategy. So Marathon, some Bitcoin. Select U.S. listed securities. Seeking income. Direct exposure to the shares, traditional or synthetic covered calls. So it looks, pretty diverse. So again, I thought this was interesting. Again, it's got a pretty high dividend payment. If that double bottom is holding, again, pretty nice dividend, 127. 141, 106, so over $1 a month per share. So looks pretty interesting. Again, I wanted to add that to our Google Sheet, keep an eye on it, see how it performs longer term. You see on the ex-dividend dates, you get those drops due to the dividend payment. So the other one was GDXY. So again, this is a gold miners. Again, this is brand new, so we really have very little information. Risk reward profile right now isn't really much, hasn't moved a whole lot because it is just very brand new. So they just opened it up. We don't even have the dividend information yet. It's not optionable. See what it's holding. So again, GDX calls, GDX puts, treasuries. So there's a covered call, synthetic covered call strategy on GDX. So again, GDX is the gold miners. I think that's the majors. I think GDXJ is the smaller gold miners. So again, another way to generate dividends on gold miners that I thought was interesting. Again, we'll have to keep an eye on how the dividend payments come out on that, and then we can update that in our dividend payment Google Sheet. So hopefully that helps. Again, these are additional yield maxes. Just a reminder, you can find the distribution schedule for the yield maxes on the reference link in our Dividend Payers Google Sheet. So if we see, I believe they go ex-dividend again on June 5th. So all the yield maxes go ex-dividend again on, I guess, the 6th. Declarations on the 5th. They'll announce how much the dividends actually are on the 5th, and then they all go ex-dividend on the 6th. So, for example, we're still long APLY, which is the yield max on Apple. We have, numerous others of the yield maxes in there. As you can see, they're continuing to come out with more yield maxes. So those that are of interest, again, you could do a find in our ad sheet for yield max and find all the different yield maxes on, NVIDIA, Amazon, Microsoft, etc. So I keep an eye on those. I like the yield maxes. We've done several videos on the yield maxes, but again, I tend to short-term swing or scalp them because I'm not sure how they're going to hold up with all their dividend payments. So I wouldn't just, my opinion, I wouldn't just hold them. I would swing and scalp them at this point until we know more. I know a number of our BeachBum traders are making good money using the yield maxes. So other than that, again, I'll keep an eye on the chat, see if anyone has any other dividend payers you want to take a look at. Again, I mentioned GLDI as a comparable for that GDXY, so you can find GLDI, which is the Credit Suisse. We had held that for a long time, made a small profit on GLDI. Again, this is a monthly dividend payer from Credit Suisse on gold, and you see it pays 185. It's got a nice yield, some potential upside, although again, gold's very high. So again, we'll see how that GDXY performs relative to GLDI, the silver version's SLVO. Again, we held that for a long time, made a small profit there as well. The oil one's USOI. Again, that's the Credit Suisse monthly dividend payer on oil. I know, again, some of our BeachBum traders have made or are making money on USOI. I would pick that back up, if oil drops below 70 again. So you can find that one as well. Last week we looked at Vail briefly. So otherwise, a lot of the common ones, I'm keeping an eye on this. This is Fresh Del Monte. Again, I'm looking at that one, watching the chart. Looks, somewhat attractive. Kind of like to see if this bottom is going to hold. Does look potential. So that's one I'm keeping an eye on. Only pays a 25-cent a quarter dividend, so its net yield's pretty negative. Got a little bit of upside, so again, that's one we might keep an eye on. IEF and IEI, popular ones. We're still no, we traded out of land, didn't we? Looking for opportunities to re-enter land. Again, it's been as low as 1220, so we'll see if that comes back down. Same way with O, Realty Income. OARC, we want to see a bottom in ARC K. We don't have enough history on that. It's not, doesn't correspond to the bottom in ARC K yet. SDP is the short on utilities. Again, SIRI pays a small dividend. Been keeping an eye on that. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm just waiting to see what the news is that equates to the precipitous drop in Tate. We've traded that profitably in the past, but I'd kind of like to see what the reasoning for the drop was, and I haven't seen anything yet. Okay, I'll briefly leave this up. If anybody has another dividend payer you want to take a look at, let me know. Otherwise, let's talk about option strategies. So again, in addition to dividend payers, we use several option strategies to also generate income in addition to our swing trades. So we sell and buy back covered calls on our positions. And we have a covered call Google sheet we've developed that you can use if you our all access and VIP Patreons can get access to that, and you can see how you can use that to do essentially what if scenarios on your covered calls strategies to generate regular income on your existing positions. And then we sell and buy back puts, in our case mostly cash secured puts on stocks going down, buying back when they're going back up. And we use our puts ROIC Google sheet to identify opportunities to sell and then buy back puts. So I've got a number of some additions and some changes to our puts ROIC Google sheet. Again, you can also get access to that, all of our Google sheets, by joining our Patreon at the all access or VIP level. Get 24/7 access to all of those. We've got a whole series of videos on how you can use our puts ROIC Google sheet titled Option Strategies for Beginners with examples. There's also one on the covered call Google sheet up above. So in addition to watching paths in our shopping list, I've also put that in our research sheet, in our puts ROIC Google sheet at the $10 strike level, which is below, with the current low it dipped down to after earnings. But we'll see what the premium on that is. I might just, sell the puts. And then if I get assigned, I'd be okay with that as kind of a long-term swing, long-term hold, as we discussed. The others, adjusting some APA, I lowered from 30 to 27.50. I'm also I had Etsy in our puts ROIC Google sheet, but I'm lowering the strike price from 60 to 57. Again, we saw it's, declining. Also, there's this Paycom company we had in there. I had it at 150, lowered that to 145. Chart on PAC looks pretty ugly, so I'm not even sure if 145 might not be low enough. Again, this is kind of fits in the category of enterprise software, which is definitely out of favor since the negative guidance coming out of CRM. So again, the VIX is now down about 14, so premiums kind of took a hit, got kind of a ball crush again on premium, so there really isn't a whole lot of attractive premiums. VIX had been up a little bit, things got a little more interesting. But again, after the VIX dropped, after the economic data, etc., premiums haven't been attractive. So again, we see Albemarle's, close, 4%. And you can some of these will update on Monday. So got Intel. I've been watching Intel around 25. It seems to be maybe stable at 30. Might be one we want to watch, but the premium's not great yet. I'd like to see, what the path comes in at $10. Right now, not attractive. Again, PAC, almost 4%. So again, if that premium comes up, might be attractive. YOUs still 1.5. So again, not a whole lot at the current premiums. But again, if we get a little more volatility, maybe we'll get some opportunities to sell some puts. So again, if you'd like us to add any stocks to our puts ROIC Google sheet, to our automated systems that collect the options data, please let us know the symbol, the strike price, the expiration dates. We can have multiples. Again, let us know in the comments to the video, in our Discord, etc., and we can add those to our systems, and then it'll update automatically at the end of each day. And then again, you can get access to that as a Patreon member and keep an eye on opportunities to sell puts. Again, you can use this as a short-term put trader. You can see what's moving up and down. the previous highs and lows, etc., and identify short-term opportunities to sell puts. I keep an eye on, things that are moving significantly during the day, and then take a look at those options to see if they might present some opportunities, which again is why Pay-C kind of popped up. So again, just to show the chart on Pay-C, pay.com. Again, a pretty ugly chart if we zoom out longer term. So it looks like it broke support. It's hard to tell, where the bottom's going to be. So pretty ugly chart for Pay-C. So be careful with that one. Okay, I had a couple questions I wanted to try to talk about. Let me grab a drink. And I haven't seen Hamster One, but we'll talk about his question with Wendy's very briefly. And then I had a lengthier question. We'll see if we have time to address today as well. Okay, firstly, Hamster One asked about Wendy's in yesterday's chat. So just a quick reminder, I try to capture, I try to catch your questions and comments in the chat as best I can, but I can't always go back, and if I miss them, I apologize. So if I did miss your question or your request to look at a stock, greatly appreciate it if you'd put it in the comments of a video or again in our Discord. You can always tag me in our Discord, BeachBum Trading, all lowercase, no other characters, etc. And then again, we can put it on the agenda to address your questions or your stock requests, either in the subsequent part of our weekly trading game plan or a future one or in a separate video. So Hamster One asked about Wendy's. So we see a precipitous drop. Hopefully everyone's familiar with, Wendy's burgers, fast food, etc. It does look like it bounced. See, they beat slightly on earnings, missed on revenue. They are profitable. It's optionable. Very high debt, negative. Decent size float, not heavily shorted. Zoom out a little bit. Got a very long wick. It recovered. Got some downside to the 16 level. So it looks like that 16 level looks like it's relatively previous support. It doesn't have a huge upside, only and that's a very high wick. So it peaked at 30, rejected pretty strongly. So really, it's only got a top in the 23, 24. Got a lot more downside. So again, for any kind of long-term trade, I would be careful. Looks like it bounced up and hit that lower trend line, possibly reject. So I would watch for a break in that lower trend line. The tweezer bottom there is reasonably nice. So short-term trade, possible opportunities, upside to that pivot at 20, so a couple bucks. Again, we saw, much more downside on a longer term basis. So again, be a little bit careful with that. I don't particularly like the thesis of Wendy's. We heard McDonald's is under pressure due to their price increases. Wendy's is a higher price fast food place, higher prices than McDonald's or Burger King. So, I suspect people are going to be trading down. And again, we we've heard from McDonald's that the consumers now feeling the price increase pressure, and again, I suspect they'll trade down from Wendy's to Burger King, McDonald's, or even just groceries, and groceries are high. So the overall thesis I don't like, the overall trend. So again, I wouldn't hold this for any length of time. I think it's got much more downside, but we, short-term bounce. It's got some potential. If it breaks that support level, maybe it'll go back up and test that upper trend line. So Hamster One, I hope that answers your question. I hope that all helps. The other question I had was from X or Twitter, and Tina Anders asked in Twitter. So again, you can also contact us via our social media sites. You can find our social media links under the link section on our homepage, beachbumtrading.com, bum without the U. So again, you can always ask us questions, contact us via our social media sites. And here Tina Anders asked, what is the criteria for selecting stocks for the watch list, which is a great question. We'll talk about it a little bit today, and we might have to follow up further next week as well. So I've done a previous pretty lengthy video on our process, our after hours process of how I go through the various queries, etc., to identify potential stocks to add to our watch list. And again, I'd highly recommend you watch this previous video. It goes through the queries we have in our database to find the risk-reward profile, the type of upside that I'm looking for. So hopefully you've heard me comment. Typically, we're looking for a stock that's near a support level, near a bottom, swinging up. Ideally look for the smiley face. It's coming to support, swinging back up, breaking the VWAP or breaking our moving averages that we watch, and then trending back up. Then the more extreme the drop, like on those irrational reactions to earnings, the higher the risk-reward profile, the more we like it. Or again, extreme tops, and we have an opportunity to short, then again, those are the things that I'm looking for to identify potential candidates. Then again, I ideally want a 2-to-1 reward to risk profile, at least the potential for that. We stay away. Part of the answer to this question is also it depends on the market conditions. So again, when we talked about our shopping list right now with high interest rates and 5% return on your cash, there are alternatives to stocks where you can get a decent return. So you don't have to go into unprofitable stocks. You don't have to take a lot of risk, etc. There are alternatives. So I'm staying away from unprofitable stocks, which means most biotechs, etc. So again, it does depend on market conditions. And right now, we're staying away from unprofitable stocks. You can see the types of stocks we like, cheap profitable stocks, cheap value stocks, and how we identify those in FinViz. Got a couple of videos on how to find those in FinViz. Also, how to find bottoming stocks in FinViz, double bottoms. So again, those are the types of things we're looking for. And then we'll do our analysis of the risk-reward profile for that stock. We'll look at the charts, support and resistance levels. Again, identify the risk-reward profile, make sure they're profitable. Do our due diligence. So we've got a number of videos on how to do due diligence in FinViz and Chartmill and Webull, etc. So we do our due diligence, make sure it's not, a zombie stock, check their Altman Z, make sure they're not going to go bankrupt on us, etc. What are the potential catalysts? So it's also important to know what's the catalyst for the turnaround. Was it an irrational reaction to earnings, or if it's a biotech, do they have trial results coming out, etc. So a lot of input into selecting criteria for our watch list. And again, I go over part of the process. Also, this whole process we go over in our weekly trading game plans. That is my process. I go through top down in FinBiz. We look at the markets, the indices, the groups, the sectors, the futures, etc. So what I do with you all on the weekends is pretty much the process. We look at our Dividend Payers Google Sheet, our ETFs Google Sheet, all looking for good risk-reward profiles, things close to a support or resistance, and those are the things that then we put on our watch list. So again, I hope that all helps. I hope that's clear enough. Again, if you have further follow-up questions about our process for selecting stocks to go on our watch list or a bullpen shopping list, etc., or adding them to any of our Google Sheets, again, put those comments in the comments to our videos, or again, contact us in our Discord or via any of our social media sites, and let us know if you'd like further information, further discussions about, our criteria, our process, etc., for either selecting or trading stocks on our watch list. So again, we covered a lot of ground today. I hope that you like this content. I hope that you find it helpful and valuable. If you like this content, we'd greatly appreciate it if you'd smash the like button on this video. We hope you're subscribed and click the bell notification so you're notified when we release further videos. Again, we try to release something pretty much every day. So again, please click the bell and all notifications so you get notified when we release further videos. We greatly appreciate it if you directly share our content with your fellow traders and friends. Let's continue to grow our BeachBum trading community for the mutual benefit of all of our BeachBum traders. And again, we'd love your feedback about what we can do to improve our weekly trading game plans, any of our videos, our tools, Google Sheets, etc. We need your feedback, what we can change, what we can improve, our communities, etc., so we can add more value for all of our fellow BeachBum traders. So again, thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat today, and everyone who's watching after the fact. And good luck and have a great trading week.